coaching in the National Football League, J-Rock. And while we're talking about coaches for a minute, what's this I'm hearing? It's up to the running backs, coach, which running back is going to play on which series of plays for the Cleveland Browns. You know, Mike Pettin's got to step it up a little bit, just like you're the captain of the ship over at the Sports Fix, Daddy. This Peyton is the captain of the ship for the Cleveland Browns football team, and he needs to take control of that ship once in a while, and he needs to make an executive decision like he did just in the week where he sat West down. He knows Carl is a much a better football player than some of the other guys when it comes to rushing the football. You know, what do they say? Frustration is doing the same thing over and over again and ending up with the same results, J-Rock Daddy. And I got to tell you something. When you're rushing and you can't move that football, you got to abandon that thought. Either that or try another guy, man. This is you know, and a lot of people want to tell, well, Alex Mack was out. Well, you know, Alex Mack was out for most of the Pittsburgh Steelers game, and John Greco did one hellacious job filling in that center and keeping Hoyer safe and keeping the blocks. They knew this Jacksonville Jaguar team had a heavy pass rush. They knew they were going to be able to stop the run, and yet they come into this game with an 0-6 team and a game plan that was probably written on a cocktail napkin while these guys were having a couple of brewskis over in Berea somewhere. And what scares the heck out of me the most, J-Rock Daddy, we got another 0-6 team to face next weekend, Daddy.
Absolutely, and those, you know, the wounded animals, the most dangerous. But even though the next ones are coming back at home, which I think, you know, changes that a bit, the game plan is out there. Oakland, you know, Tampa, these teams are going to look at the way Jacksonville attacked the Browns. They're going to look at the way that they beat the Browns, and that's going to be the formula to go out there and do it. It's going to be up to the Browns now to, and this is where I'm not going to sit here and fall off the cliff. I'm not going to gloom and doom, and in no way are the Browns about to lose. No. What I'm saying is the Browns are not about to lose 8 games in a row. This is not about to be the end of, you know, all civilization as we know it, and then everything falls apart. That being said, the Browns need to cut it up. The Browns need to get back together. Nobody, you know, Mike Pettin said, it's not just a cliche. Nobody cares that you're missing Alex Mack. And I don't mean that we don't understand it, but nobody sent you a sympathy card for a reason, because nobody cares who's missing who. Guys are getting, look at Buffalo. They just lost both of their running backs, man. I mean, that's the way it goes.
And then what do we see yesterday? We see Sammy Watkins, the guy that we could have picked with number 4, get a 4-yard touchdown pass at the end of the game to help the Buffalo Bills propel themselves. Hey, how about this Colt McCoy coming in on the field?
I knew it was coming.
In the second half of the football game and throwing a 70-yard touchdown pass to help the
you know what?
The Redskins.
I'm not going to use that in any way against the Browns, not at all. But
I was going to say it later. For you, J-Rock,
I will take a moment.
How ironic would it be? Hey, listen to this one, though, J-Rock. You're going to love it. How ironic would it be if Colt McCoy gets to start next week against the Dallas Cowboys while Whedon watches from the sidelines and the Washington Redskins hand Dallas a loss? I will be rolling out of my couch, man, onto the floor.
I know you will.
Something like that happen.
I know you will. But you know what? Since you brought him up, I do want to take a moment, because you guys know that I have got a soft spot in my heart for Mr. Colt McCoy, and I appreciate the time that he spent. I like the kid, man, and I wish him the best. I don't care where it is. I wish him the best, and for one day, Colt McCoy is the king of his world. He got to get back in there and win a game, and maybe it'll never be any better for Colt McCoy, but hey, I'm raising my coffee cup to you right here, Colt McCoy. Go for it. Go for it, young man. Win that game, man. But anyways, I'm glad you brought that up. But
I'm raising my cup too, J-Rock.
But I'll tell you what, all serious, I knew you were going to bring it up. I was literally looking at the clock.
How can you not? You got to be happy for the kid.
But seriously, and then there he goes against Whedon on the other side. But getting back to who the Browns have and what they have going on, I'm not going to pile on Coach Pettin, because I've spent the last few weeks saying that I really do like most of what he's done. He'll clearly tell you that he's made mistakes. There were mistakes yesterday made, and as long as you clean them up, hey, I probably made a mistake in the last 15 minutes of doing this show somewhere. As long as you clean it up, you fix it up, and you go back out there and get it better, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not going to play the rehash. You manned up, and the other team
you know what it boils down
around.
To, J-Rock Daddy? Let's just face the facts. This is a rookie head coach. He's
exactly.
got some coaches that, you know, O'Neal, I'm not thrilled with his defense.
I'm not a big fan of his thus far either. Be honest with you. I'm with you there. I'm still waiting to be seen.
Let me talk to you for a second here. With Ataba Rubin and Phil, they plugged some big holes on that defensive line. But you know what? Good football teams see good players getting injured all the time. You got to be able to have the next man come up, be ready to get in there and play. Talk about, we have a couple injured players. It doesn't come down to that. I do believe what it comes down to, J-Rock, is these guys might have read the press too much. They might have heard some of these guys on these ESPN shows and Sports Illustrated, and the national press coverage was here in Cleveland, and they were saying for the first time in how many years this Cleveland Browns football team looks like a playoff team. And you know what, J-Rock,
NFL Today.
We can't say that they're not going to be a playoff team. I mean, Cincinnati got their butts handed to them by the Indianapolis Colts, 27-0. That's supposed to be the top-ranked defense in the AFC North was the Bengals, and coming into the season anyway. Andy Dalton and his new offensive coordinator, they're supposed to be a match made in heaven. So, you got to look at the bright sides. The only team that's pulling ahead right now is the Baltimore Ravens. We still have to play them one more time this year. Hopefully, Coach Patton sits everybody down. They get their heads put into a vice this week, and they squeeze the air out of their heads, because these guys must have been floating on a cloud, because this is not the Cleveland Browns football team that we saw against the Saints. It's not the one we saw in the second half of the first opening game of the season against the Steelers. It's not the one we've seen win against Pittsburgh in our home opener. It's not the one we've seen mount the biggest comeback on the road in the NFL history. It's not the one that we saw beat the New Orleans Saints, J-Rock Daddy. This was a team that was completely unprepared to play an 0-6 team, and the only thing I can attribute that to is they must have believed the press. It's time to gather your thoughts, get back to the basics. Let's make some frickin' tackles, for God's sake. You can't let these guys run all over you on the football field. I see guys holding on to people's shirt tails, J-Rock Daddy, and they're trying to get the guy down. Who the heck teaches somebody how to tackle on this football team? They better go back to tackling 101, learn how to do the job. I mean, come on. We got to play the kind of football that we know that this Cleveland Browns team is capable of playing in each and every minute of each and every game, J-Rock Daddy.
I hear you, LG, my man. I'm with you, and we'll see how they react to it this week, man. That's what you do, man. You good teams, go out there and get at it. And as I said, I think we're seeing here this week. I know some people won't listen. Some people know more than we do, LG, and this is just a terrible Browns team that's going to finish 3-13. And Brian Hoyer's pumpkin is
already,
rotten.
Man.
And
listen,
you
know what, J-Rock
end of the
Daddy?
day, it's not a Super Bowl team, but it's not a 4-12 team. It's what you thought they were going to be. It's somewhere around the middle of the road, and I think there's a lot of good weeks and bad weeks still to go, and it's going to be a fun season. I'm interested to see. Hey, listen, Oakland brings some challenges.
You know what, J-Rock Daddy, those people that are throwing in the towel and thinking, this is the 4-12 team we thought it was. You know what? They're not even thinking with their heads, man.
Doesn't matter. You can't change that,
We still got Josh Gordon coming back. We got Josh Gordon. One day, Ruben's going to be healthy again. So is Phil Taylor. That's going to, you know what? You put those, J-Rock, that's like putting a quarter, more than a quarter of a ton of men on that defensive line, man.
LG, I hear you. But you know what? It's not just that. They're not just missing pieces. The pieces that they have got to play better. Each week, it's a journey to get where you want to go. They stunk yesterday.
How about them
this week,
teams?
that's it. Well, there's a whole nother thing, because you can show me that punt block and say, yay, Chris Tabor. I don't like Chris Tabor. I have not liked him since he replaced Brad Seeley. The Browns special teams,
can catch the football,
the Browns special teams, though, this year, LG, they got no returns. No returns on kickoffs, no returns on punts. The special teams are putting you in bad field position almost every time, and that's huge. That's not making any game-changing plays, and now
we
twice.
Need to call Josh
Luckily,
Chris back out
well, you know what? At least he can catch.
At
least he can catch a damn punt, because Travis Benjamin may have gotten the penalty, but we know what happened with him. I will say, even if you want to forgive the offense, the defense, you want to forgive everything and say the Browns still should have snuck out of there with a stolen victory, Jordan Poyer muffing that punt off of his face mask summarizes that loss yesterday. It's a team week, and the ball bounces off their face against the Jaguars. That's exactly what happened yesterday. That's it. So
and
now
like
you
I
need
said,
to focus.
This was an ill-prepared football team, J-Rock. They were anything but ready to play this football game, and I'm just worried. I'm just worried that, one good thing we got to admit, we haven't seen bad Browns football 2 weeks in a row yet. Do you agree?
And now we get to see them bounce back from adversity. Like you say, you think it's a bad thing maybe to have 2 0-6 teams in a row coming in, 2 teams looking for that win. I'm just saying,
you better not take this.
That's what I'm saying. You better
roll.
Said
is true. These guys are watching that game, Phil.
Exactly. You got to roll them. You got to come out this week and say, you know what, we're pissed off. We're not going to let this happen again. And you use that momentum from the home crowd, and you got to take that game, take it by the throat right in the first quarter, and show the fan base and show yourself, hey, man, everybody has a bad week. Let's go back out here and get back to work.
You know what? It's got to start at the top. Like I said earlier in this conversation, the captain, Mike Benton, has to take control of this football game. He has to reel these guys back down on the planet Earth, and he has to tell them, do you see how bad you sucked yesterday? If you want to play that kind of football, there's the door, baby. Hit it right now. We'll get some guys in here that are going to give me 110% week in, week out, every minute of every football game, because you know what, J-Rock, I hate to say it, it's an inconsistency. And when it comes to Cleveland sports, we're used to seeing inconsistencies. Look at the Cleveland Indians this year. Their offense was inconsistent. Can you imagine if they had 25% more consistency on offense? We would have been in the playoffs. We probably would have won the American League Central. We need consistent guys that come in here and show these guys how to be consistent professional sports players, man.
I'm with you, LG, my man. I'm up against it. I got to get the break in, but man, great phone call
as
always.
You, brother. Keep up the good work and go Browns. I know next week, like I said, we're going to come back. I don't suspect 2 bad weeks in a row. And for these people thinking 4-12, give me a break, folks. They're going to bounce back. I guarantee you, this loss left a bad taste in Brian Hoyer's mouth, and he's not liking the way that tastes right now. I'll talk to you next time, J-Rock Daddy.
Call me later this week. We'll talk about the Raiders. I'll talk to you, LG. My man.
You got
Always a great conversation. LG from Cleveland Sports 360. I'm going to open the phone lines back up to you guys, but coming up next, we've got news. We've got John McMullen. Let's get his perspective. He writes nationally for newspapers around the country. He's syndicated. He works for the Sports Network, and he's on the Sports Fix every Monday. We'll talk NFL. We'll talk about that Browns loss with the Jags. What's coming up next? And we'll look around the NFL. Peyton Manning, the touchdown king. Seattle upset by the Rams, the AFC North update, and more. Let's talk NFL, all the games, including the Browns, with John McMullen from the Sports Network, coming up next after the news.
All we let us and we'll turn this mother out. All we
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into
The Sports Fix. We'll be right back. It's an addiction. The Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix. Whether it's an oil change or a new set of tires, Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck has you covered for your automotive car care needs. They're your neighborhood quick service experts. They also offer a low price tire guarantee.
Choose from 13 brands, and if you find the same tires at a lower price within 30 days, Quick Lane at Valley Ford will refund the difference. They're open late Monday through Thursday until 9 p.m. and open early Saturday so you can check it off your to-do list and get on with your day. They also have a newly remodeled service lounge and additional service bay just for Quick Lane oil changes. Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck